Hey guys, it's Mike from Skill of Strength. We've got a treat for you today. We've got our good friend Chris Gatti over here. Chris is in the circus. He's in the Circus Soleil. He's an incredibly talented gymnast and performer. So he's going to take us through some handstand drills today. Kristen, to my right, is going to be our demo and our model today. She's got a little experience with this, but it's going to be a good time. So hopefully you enjoy it. So I'm going to step back and let sort of Chris take over. So. Chris, we're going to assume that Kristen knows how to do a handstand on a wall, but she wants to progress on a freestanding handstand. And take her through it.
All right, so anytime I'm teaching a handstand, I tell the person to focus on three things. One is squeezing your legs as tight as you can. So if I were to try to separate your legs, you wouldn't be able to do that. That tightens up your legs, tightens up your core. The next thing is to push out through your shoulders as much as possible. Basically try to get your toes to the ceiling. Third thing is to look at a spot in between your thumbs. I don't want your head like way out, I don't want your head way in, but just kind of neutral, peeking out of the top of your eyes. All that will sort of set you in the right position for a good handstand. And then we can make some minor tweaks from it. So I'm going to head and kick out. I'll spot her and see how she does. Our line is pretty good. I can see a slight shoulder angle this way, and so that'll tire your shoulders out a little bit faster than if it was completely in line. Basically, you want to be completely stacked, just a complete vertical line. We'll be using as little shoulder muscular as possible. And this one, push back a little bit while you're pushing out. All right, so her line straightened out a lot right there. And I could feel like I could spot her a little bit with my fingers, but basically she was on balance. And that's the benefit of having a hand spot as opposed to kicking up against the wall, trying to balance yourself. You can start to feel that balance point, someone just spotting you lightly with your fingers.
So quick question for you, Chris, just to clarify. So when she's in the overhead position and she's in the handstand, we don't want to kind of pack those shoulders down and in. We want to do the opposite. So we want to sort of unpack and kind of push through. So it's sort of it's almost like a shrug.
Exactly, yeah. And there's a couple ways of teaching a handstand. I feel like pushing out your shoulders is the most stable. Okay. Basically, your whole body is tight, and all you do is control with your fingers after that.
Awesome. And as far as the overhead position, what you were saying earlier about Kristen is she was sort of not completely stacked, and she was using a lot of her shoulder musculature to support her, as opposed to getting stacked from a biomechanical standpoint and using her joints to stabilize.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
And if you can do that, you're just a complete straight line. As I said, you're just controlling with your fingers. And so after those three things are pretty good, then we can start working on control. Most of the weight is going to be on the palm of your hand, but you're going to be sensing where your body is and controlling it all with your fingertips. So on this one, I want you to start to try to really feel the ground. If you're leaning over this way too much, push back on your fingertips. If you're going that way, lighten up on your fingertips. All right, so on that one, she had a few seconds where I wasn't touching her at all, and she was just figuring out that balance point. After that, I mean, her line is pretty good, and she's starting to figure out her finger control. It's just time on your hands after that.
Cool. What would you say the common errors are when people try to make the transition from the wall over to the freestanding position? What would you say people sort of goof up on?
I'd say normally their handstand position isn't good enough. They think that just being able to get on your hands is sufficient, but having that straight body position is like essential for holding a freestanding handstand. So even if you don't have a spot, working that position up against the wall is really good. Squeezing your legs, pushing tall, and then from there, just building up endurance in that position. So try to hold it for 30 seconds or so. When you get a hand spot on the ground, you'll be in a much better starting position.
Gotcha. Okay, so your goal is really endurance-based, and say, keep on sort of, working at multiple sets of maybe 5 to 10 second holds, and then slowly adding time and working your way up to say like a 30-second hold. That's kind of an ideal scenario.
That's where you want to start. I mean, initially just to build up that shoulder strength, because that's not a natural strength that people have, and just maintaining that body tightness for that length of time. After that sort of second nature, then it's just controlling your fingertips.
Now, how important is the leg position when starting? I've seen a lot of people start off and their legs will be wide, or their legs will be sort of in an asymmetrical stance. Would you say the best position is to try to just get everybody's legs together in a straight line?
I feel like starting with your legs together is definitely good from a tightness point of view. It tightens up your whole body. If you split your legs, everything in your core is sort of loosened up a little bit. And so when you're trying to control it with your hands and fingers, a small movement in your legs, it may not translate to your through your core to your fingers. You won't feel that. You won't be able to control it with your fingertips. So having something solid that that reacts to every movement in your hands is what you want to start with, I think.
Awesome. Can you try another set or two? Are you good with that? Awesome. Let's see it. Awesome.
That's pretty good.
Good progress. Any other tips you should let us know about when it comes to handstands?
Not really. I mean, those are the main things that I tell everyone. And as soon as I tell people that, it sort of fixes their position a lot. And then they improve pretty fast holding a handstand, figuring out that balance. That's, like the basics in my mind. And then you can start playing with positions, getting up into a handstand, working on different shoulder strength drills, stuff like that.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys so much. Kristen, thank you for coming down and volunteering. Chris, where can people see you perform? I know you're with Cirque du Soleil, but when will you be performing next?
I'll be in Mexico from late June until early October. I'll be in Merida, and Guadalajara, and Mexico City, and Ecuador after that. So nowhere around here, but if you're down in Mexico, let me know.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time today, and good luck and have a good day.